There's a lot of people on TikTok who have made their entire thing like educating the kids. But I think that's the same with YouTube. It's the same with Instagram archives. You know, people are like using this to become a kind of archivist of their own accord.
But then do you think there's like ostensibly a 12-year-old somewhere who is going to watch all of these and then all of a sudden like have deep opinions about chain versus egg?
Well, we'll see in this video. But definitely that is a thing that happens, because I used the term puppy punk before. I'd never heard of this term before. In scenes in the UK, they normally just say baby punk. But there's a lot of self-described puppy punks on TikTok, and they're like...
Oh, it's like a thing they own?
Yeah, that's a term they own. They're like, hi, can you help me not feel as bad about being new to the scene? What are the stuff that I need to know? And they're going to this app that's accessible, and they're being reassured by, honestly, people like even a year older than them, sort of taking them under their wing and being like, this is what you do. But something that I haven't included, because it's something that's happened for a few years and I couldn't find the videos, a huge thing on punk TikTok was lace code, and it continues to be, because obviously lace code is something that is regional. The importance of lace code has sort of changed with times, and it depends on what sort of scene you're involved in.
But like, does lace code exist outside of TikTok? Like, is that a thing that still has existed for the last...
That's the argument. That's the whole argument. People are like, it doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed since the 90s. Like, why are you pushing this as a narrative?
Because also, everything you're describing is like, this is all happening while there hasn't been a show for nearly 2 years. So you're just... Well,
there are like TikToks of people in skate parks playing shows. I don't think I included any of them.
Good. Irresponsible.
But yeah, there's a lot of people. Like, there's even one that I saw yesterday when I was like going through and seeing if there was anything I'd missed out that I desperately needed to include. There was someone who's like, I'm a puppy punk. I'm really desperate to get into the scene, but I only got introduced to punk last year. Shows haven't been back yet. Like, I mean, there's a whole discourse as well about ableism in punk, and that you don't necessarily have to go to every show to be put. I mean, it's God, every facet of like dissecting punk, dissecting gatekeeping, dissecting who has the right to call themselves punk. Like, TikTok's been over it a million times already. God. But they call themselves punk talk or punk talkers, unironically.
So like, I assume people like Sam and I, the dreaded 35-year-olds you were mentioning earlier, what are we called? We're not puppy punk. I wish I was a puppy punk.
I don't know, punk or punk elders. That's the thing as well, like...
Elders.
There's a whole thing about emo elders. And it's like people my age who were consuming music in the early 2000s are an emo elder. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so old. It's exactly the same shit that you saw on Twitter with the Olivia Rodrigo album.
Right.
It's like, I'm so fucking old, these kids don't... But I did actually, before the pandemic, at the end of February last year, the last thing I did of any note was go to a emo, quote-unquote emo night with a bunch of Gen Z. Yeah. And, well, there was a couple of millennials, but there was a lot of Gen Z, and they were turning to me after every band and asking me who it was and asking me to explain who the Ataris are or who Taking Back Sunday are. And I was like, how do you not... Your favourite bands are Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance. How do you not know who Taking Back Sunday are? With the internet? Like, with Spotify? I don't understand it.
You gotta
I feel like you have to put a concerted effort
it.
into that, yeah.
Watch TikTok if you want to be punk, is basically what I'm gleaning from this. Well, maybe this is a great opportunity then if there's any punk puppies out there. I mean, watch along with us. We'll teach you a lot. Georgia's going to guide us. Sort of, it's a multi-generational thing. Georgia's going to sort of hold Sam and I's hand as we embark on this terrifying journey, and maybe the punk puppies can learn something too.
Yeah, I'm pushing 30, so